I'm Greg Sizemore, president and founder of the Construction Users Roundtable, commonly called CURT. CURT is an organization that focuses on the owner's needs in the construction industry, but invites our industry partners, including contractors, subcontractors, and our trades, to join together with us to help us find solutions to problems that matter. CURT shares its perspectives and the resources and the experiences of its members in a variety of deliverable contexts, whether meetings, conferences, or these kind of events, the podcasts, etc. Our aim is to improve the construction industry, particularly the industrial construction industry, and help owners get more construction for the money, contractors to have a profitable and safe job, and for the communities to grow and be proud of the built environment that we're creating to live and work in. So this is Construction Connection, powered by CURT. And from time to time, we offer an opportunity to do a deeper dive into the lives and experiences of industry leaders. And today, I'm real happy to have my friend and colleague at CURT, Mr. Andy Browning, to join us. Andy, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
To be here, Greg.
Let me tell you a little bit about Andy. Andy serves as Vice President of Gas Generation Projects at Duke Energy. I'm sure all of us know about that enterprise. He leads major capital projects focused on generation infrastructure, engineering, construction execution, commissioning, safety, operational readiness, and a plethora of other deliverables in Duke's ever-expanding portfolio. He has more than 36 years of experience in the industry sector and has built a career centered primarily on large-scale projects delivery. Prior to his current role at Duke, he served as General Manager of Engineering and Construction Services, where he oversaw engineering, construction, commissioning, quality, safety, etc., for Duke Energy's major capital projects in both generation, solar, hydro, and gas infrastructure initiatives. Before joining Duke, Andy had spent 10 years with Babcock and Wilcox as a field engineer supporting major power and industrial projects. He's a highly sought after commodity, and by that I mean he serves on the board for SCORE, the Southeastern Construction Owners and Associates Roundtable, as well as our own Construction Users Roundtable, CURT. He's got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Louisiana State and grabbed an MBA from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where he is currently residing in Charlotte, Duke's headquarters. So, Andy, let's just jump right in here for our audience. From your perspective at Duke, what do you feel is changing most rapidly right now in the energy sector? Help us get to know Duke better. Help us get to know that sector of the industry better. What's changing at lightning speed? Where are we riding lightning in your sector?
So I think I would say the addition of new generation, dispatchable generation.
What does that mean?
So if you look at technologies like solar, wind. Solar will work when the sun's out. Wind will work when the wind's blowing. But if you can't control when it's going to be on or off. Dispatch means I can ramp it up and utilize it for generation purposes to meet the required load. So it's something I can move up and down as I need to match what the request is.
Talk to us a little bit about Duke's portfolio. I know in our discussions over the last couple of years particularly, it seems to be exploding. Maybe that's the wrong term to use for an energy company, but it seems to be expanding. There's a better term, right? Expanding at a huge rate. Talk to us about what you're trying to get your arms around right now, Andy.
So just to put it in a little perspective, our CapEx for the next 5 years is about $120 billion. Of that, we're going to be adding about 5 gigawatts of battery, about 5 gigawatts of solar, and about 5 gigawatts of new gas generation. If you go out 10 years, that amount of gas is going to jump quite a bit. Unlike solar and battery, that when we add it, it might be 30 megawatts, it might be 150 megawatts. Where gas is, so a two on one combined cycle is typically going to be about just under 1,400 megawatts at one time.
So what's driving this?
It's a combination of things. So you've had a lot of growth Duke Energy is a regulated utility. So we kind of look and project, okay, based on what we see as people moving to the state, industry coming to the state, we'll project what our growth looks like. For many years, it was very flat. We, every couple of years, will submit to the commission. It's called an integrated resource plan, an IRP. And as we submit that, we'll project, okay, here's the current generation mix that we have. Here's the expected growth. Here's the new customers, new industry, things like that. And we had missed that calculation because we had said everything for as far as growth was going to be flat. And when we started checking it, 2 years come, we start working on the plan again. We're like, oh, growth wasn't flat. It was about 2%. Well, that can add up. The other thing that happened is we had Winter Storm Elliott come through, and that was not a good time for Duke. We had run short on what we were able to generate and purchase that we couldn't cover the need. First time ever in the company's history. So after that, one of the things the regulators asked said, okay, we would like you to increase your margin, your reserve margin by 5%. That's a piece of it. Well, then everybody's heard about data centers. Data centers use a lot of electricity. So
It's like a good problem to have, but the real
is.
challenge has been
The big thing with the data centers, they want it now. I need it tomorrow. Can you get it for me tomorrow? It's like, no. It's funny. You talk to a lot of the EPC contractors and owners as the data center, the hyperscalers who try to put the project together and flip it to make money will say, well, we'll just put more money on it. So I want a combined cycle and I need it by 2030. Not going to happen. Well, I can pay whatever it costs. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. And so it's making sure we're adding generation that's needed, but not adding customers that we're not going to be able to support.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I would say the other big piece of that is you're hearing about impact to customers. Well, a lot of states are doing things like they're putting a tariff on data centers, or for us, we've got to show the commission that everything that we're doing to provide power to that data center, that our existing customers are not subsidizing that in any way. And so until we have a signed contract with the data center, we typically don't count it as additional generation.
Interesting. So I'm getting ahead of my skis. So let me ask you first, how has this changed the way that projects are now being planned and delivered? What's been the major shift since this new demand has emerged over the last 3 or 4 years? And what has it done to the workforce requirement to get these projects completed?
So the way it's done hasn't really changed a whole lot. It's just the quantity has increased significantly. Well, just like anything, if the number of projects I'm supporting is going to increase, the number of people I'm going to have is going to increase. So we had at the beginning of 2024 in our department for the major projects, or what we call project management and construction, as far as an employee headcount, we were sitting about 50. Today, I think we're somewhere about just shy of 150. And we'll probably double that in the next 2 to 3 years.
Going from 50 to nearly 300, a factor of 6S in about 48 months.
Yes.
So that presents a whole new challenge for you organizationally, and attracting, retaining, training, acclimating, all the things that are required for a new employee onboarding. How has it changed the way Duke deals with those kinds of team building requirements?
I would say we've got a lot more focus on making sure we get engagement, because that is very important to retention. Feel like they are actually part of the team, include them in decisions, get their opinions. The other thing is the amount of new engineers. When we were, I say lean and mean back in 24, if I hire an engineer, I'm going to go after an experienced engineer, because the minute he walks in the door, as I say, I'm going to push him in the deep end and hope he can swim.
Yeah, right.
Today, with the number of projects we have, it's a great opportunity to kind of balance the senior guys with entry level. So we started right now we started bringing in, I would say in 24, interns and co-ops, mainly in the summer, but we also do a few in the fall and spring. Try to bring like rising juniors, rising seniors, give them the opportunity. And that basically, we see that as an opportunity for us to test drive each other.
Oh,
They
that's
can,
right.
hey, do I want to work for Duke? Do I like the culture here? Is it something I want to do? And we get to do the same thing. And I would say we typically offer about 80% or more a permanent position. Somewhere, say if they're a graduate in May, usually in August, we're making the offer if they want to come on board.
Or that following May
Yeah,
graduation.
following May, yes.
Not unusual for rising seniors when they start that senior year, fourth or fifth year, depending on the institution, to have job offers and not just one, but multiple lined up before
Yeah.
the first day of classes begin. Not unusual. Huge change from just a few years ago.
Oh, yes.
And the old traditional model that you and I endured, maybe somewhere around spring break, you start looking for something and maybe take a month off and start in July. Those days are, well, it just looks a whole lot different now.
It does.
It does. So so you got these manpower challenges, you've got the onboarding and the cultural inculcation that you try to achieve with internships and co-ops. When we talk about actual project delivery or the kind of contract that you use with your EPC folks, the contractors are having the same challenges that the owner does in terms of acquiring the skilled trades, where you're looking for key high performance engineering capabilities. They're looking for skilled trades to meet the needs and the demand of Duke Energy. How has this new reality changed the way that the project is delivered? Has it changed your contractual terms? Has it changed the type of approach that you use to projects? Talk to us about how project delivery has morphed over the last 3 years.
So we're finally getting to the point where, for us, it's always been, hey, fixed price, EPC contractor, and you take all the risk.
Right.
We're still going that method with the large projects, but as we have additional scope, they'll come back and say, I can't give you a firm price for that. Starting to look at some of like target pricing. So work with them, get through engineering, decide what it should cost, and then have a sharing of either the benefits or the downside. And that's kind of new. You've probably heard, most utilities are resistant to change.
Oh yeah, of
And
course.
typically change when you make us. Well, what's going on in the industry is making us. So we're starting to look at other models. We haven't fully jumped into any, but just kind of looking what would be the benefit to utilizing something different based on the size of a project.
Let's peel that onion a little bit, as much as you can, with integrity. And what are some of the other models that had your curiosity? You're not submitted to them, but you're exploring the what if possibility of using, quote, another model. What are those? What does that look like, Andy?
So like the target price. So you kind of work together, develop the scope, start the engineering, work on what you think the total project will be, and you set some mark. And at a certain time in the project, at that point, the contractor will close their books. It's open until then. And then we'll try to work towards that mark. If we get under it, we kind of split the savings. If we get over it, we split the overruns. And you kind of work out what percentage, who gets what above and below as it gets further and further away from that point.
Interesting. That's fairly new to the utility sector.
Oh, very new. The other one that we're looking at as a potential, you might have heard it called IPD, Integrated Project Design.
Yes.
Things like that. So what we're looking at doing is having a scope, paying a couple contractors to start the design, run the design anywhere to 30 to 60%. And at that point, decide which one you're going to continue with. And then
they get paid for their work.
They get paid for their work. It's kind of like build me an estimate and I'll start the design work and I'm going to pay you for it. Nothing's at risk.
Interesting. So what advice would you have to contractors who want to jump in that pool with you? what are some key attributes, characteristics, experiences of that contractor who do get the wink and the nod to move forward? What are you looking for?
So when we utilize something like this, it's going to be for typically larger projects. So we're going to look for someone that's got some experience and some size to them, that can be insured for the bonds that we require just to cover should something really go wrong. I would see some of our smaller contractors that we support and work with at CURT teaming up with some of the larger EPCs, or even some of the larger contractors teaming up and working with engineering firms to kind of do a consortium type of thing. It's how do you position yourself to come and do the work where you're benefiting and potentially getting a large piece of work when you hit that point where we say, okay, this is the horse we're running with.
Go, no go. Yeah. That concept of consortia, is that designed to create capability on Duke projects? Is it designed to address the skilled trade workforce shortage where, we're sharing resources with the contractors? And are you getting some pushback or some caution from your contractor pool about, hey, I'm not sure I want to swim with Acme Contractor over here? What are the unintended consequences of that? Yeah, just talk to us about that consortia. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. So the pushback, really haven't seen it. We actually started this at one point. We were going to start proceeding with we've got a pump storage facility called Bad Creek. And we were looking at potentially doing a parallel tunnel and putting another set of units in to double the size of that. It's basically, if you look at pump storage, it's a large battery. When energy costs are low, I pump water up to the upper reservoir. When it's expensive, I use the water to generate by dumping it into the lower reservoir. So we were going to do this extremely large project, a little over 10 years to construct. And we brought in 4 groups. 3 of them were consortiums. 1 was a single player. And they were some large ones. You'd be surprised, like, oh, we thought they could have done this on their own. And you looked and saw some of the large players teaming up with people who had tunneling expertise, large construction expertise, better engineering expertise. I think they see it as a benefit because then they're sharing the risk with someone else, but then they're benefiting from using the knowledge base of both either 2 companies, 3 companies, 4 companies.
The highest and best use of where that expertise lies in all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And you brought up the knowledge base. I want to take an opportunity to introduce to our listeners the concept of the CURT Solutions Portal. Most recently, we've at CURT decided that AI is not going to back up on the expressway, that it's going to continue to go at breakneck speed where it's headed. We know not where particularly, but we need to get behind it. So what we've done at CURT, you heard Andy talk about the knowledge base and the importance of the various areas of expertise. But at CURT, we've loaded the last 5 or 6 years of content. We call it our body of knowledge. I think 30,000 different elements is what I understand, that are PowerPoints, presentations, white papers, benchmarking studies, panel discussions, articles in the Voice magazine, the owner safety blueprint, the lean project, all the things that CURT has developed that is relevant over the last 5 years. And we have synthesized that into what today is called the CSP, or the CURT Solutions Portal. It's free to all of our CURT members. And we have tested it. We've worked together with some of the finest minds who are studying AI and helping others deploy AI at the University of Cincinnati. For those who may not know, we're headquartered here in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, with the University of Cincinnati being about 3 miles away. So it was very convenient with our relationships and our proximity there to engage them. They were enthused. And in fact, we won the industry champion award from the Lindner College of Business. So it just wasn't the engineering resources. It's also the business college, the business school, and their graduate school over there that helped us develop the CURT Solutions Portal. Again, it's complimentary to members. Think of it as a consultant in your pocket. And when you ask it a question, it'll come up with the answer synthesized from our knowledge base. It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't make stuff up like some of the common public AI platforms does. And oftentimes it will cite where the information came from. So you can actually click on the PowerPoint presentation or click on the panel discussion or click on the article. And we've also synthesized all the OSHA regulations. So when we make a safety recommendation, we cite the particular OSHA regulation that addresses that question. It's fascinating. And it also comes in multi languages, which is also fascinating. So anybody from anywhere can use it for any purpose. If you're interested in that, go to CURT.org. That's our website, and you'll find resources, phone numbers, emails there. You can reach out and ask us more about CSP and whether or not engagement in CURT is right for you. But I want to get back to our guest, Mr. Andy Browning, who's Vice President of Gas Generation Projects at Duke Energy. Let's talk a little bit, Andy, about how safety concerns with the kinds of projects that you have and the kinds of multiple contractor pool that you work with. And historically, as CII and CURT has measured safety performance, there's been a slight uptick. Post-COVID particularly, I don't know what this year or last year's data will reveal, being reported this year, of course. How has Duke addressed safety concerns with such large projects and such a multiplicity of players?
So typically, when we engage a contractor, we evaluate their safety program and their safety statistics. So you kind of look and see what the market is for a medium-sized industrial contractor. Where do their numbers fall compared to the industry norm? Have they got utility experience? And if so, where? Have they got previous experience with Duke? If so, where? What's the issues been? See if you can get information. We do a review of their safety program. Then we'll say, okay, typically what you'll get from Duke, any contract's going to include the requirements. You always got to follow all of the like OSHA standards and requirements. Then we'll add on we've got a environmental safety and health handbook. And then each department will have what we call a supplemental of things that are in addition to the handbook that we want to make sure you either have a program or some kind of procedure that covers it. Then we'll also provide field oversight. So you're responsible for your own program, but we're still going to have everyone on our team that's in the field providing observations, correcting issues, be it our safety manager, the construction manager, the project manager, leaders like myself when we go in the field. We'll walk around, see if we find stuff, ask questions, talk to people, see if we can identify things that can be fixed immediately, or if you're seeing things that don't quite hit the mark, but they're really not that bad, at least get it on the radar so they can track it to see if something's trending or not. So it's kind of a combination of us understanding your program and then validating that you're following your program and you're doing what you said you were going to do the way you were going to do it. And when you don't,
So
call you out.
accountability to it primarily. So in recent years, as you have heard from CURT and probably other sources, the whole concept of mental wellness, we'll say, which is a pretty way of saying suicide prevention, frankly. Death by suicide continues to be the top issue in the construction industry, appalling. And so in recent years, that's kind of come out of the dark corners of the discussion and into the light, and companies and owners and individuals, activists have been promoting mental wellness on construction sites. Talk to us a little bit about the changes you may have seen recently and the importance of including mental wellness in a safety program as well as physical well-being.
So I'm proud to say Duke's is like many other companies. We've actually gone further. So total wellness.
Love it.
And so you're looking at your physical health. You're looking at your mental health. You're looking at your financial health, your social health. All these things can be a distraction. And when you have distractions, that's when you have injuries in the field. You talked about suicide in construction. I'm one of the ones that join many to say we have a crisis. Statistics I always like to use is on average, about 1,000 people are killed with construction every year. 5,000 construction workers commit suicide every year.
I'll let that sink in to our listeners. 1,000 are killed on job site related activity, but 5,000 more lose the battle in their minds first and decide to make an irreversible decision. That is a huge issue in an industry where every single person counts. We have a severe workforce shortage from the top to the bottom, and we can't and shouldn't be tolerant of any loss that could be prevented. So I want
Correct.
that to sink into our listeners and watchers that's an amazing statistic. How does that? And I really do esteem Duke for taking total well-being. You said physical and mental and even financial and social health into account. Um, your industry partners, are they on board with that initiative? It's quite robust.
Many are. Some mainly still focus on the physical health and mental health, but they have a program, and many are starting to expand it further and further. A lot of people that work for companies don't even realize they have a EAP, employee assistance program.
Oh, that's right.
And you ask questions about that. There's so many benefits available that if you would just ask, you'd be surprised. So it's things like, okay, if you need an attorney for adoption, for a will, for a divorce, anything like that, they've got people they're lined up with that typically give you your first 30 minutes for free, and then you get a discounted rate after that. If you're having issues, you might need some counseling. Call them up, they'll set you up, and typically you get so many sessions for free. And then after that, you get discounts. And that's available to the employee and their family.
That's just incredible. And I really want to applaud you and Duke. And yeah, Duke was one of the early ones. And frankly, CURT was one of the ones that began to pull that stigma out of the dark closet into the light and began to prop it up and address it on our stages for the last couple of years. And we've recognized that, as you know, Andy, over the last couple of 3 years, I guess, by just addressing it and calling it out, calling it a problem, and not only identifying it, but addressing. So hats off to you, hats off to Duke for your leadership, not only in your particular sector of the industry, but in the entire industry. Another area of workforce that I wanted to explore with you for just a minute is this whole concept of women in construction. As you have seen recently, there's 10 or 12 years ago, there was about 11 to 14, depending on which study you read, 11 to 14% women involvement in construction at every level. From that point to today, 12, 13 years later, I think some of the data showed with Mark Bridgers and Gretchen Gagel, it's still 11 to 14% of women involvement in construction. It nowhere even matches the demographic of roughly 50-50 in our country. What are some of the things that Duke's been doing recently to make this industry and this profession more attractive, not only to women in the trades, but women in the engineering sector,
Well,
project management
I'll say one
side
of
of
the
it?
things I like you hit on with Gretchen. So Gretchen started her cohorts of women in construction leadership.
Right.
And so when that came out, the very first one, I went and found a couple of people in our group. I said, hey, you need to go to this. They went and they enjoyed it. And since then, we continue to try to get people to go and learn. We've got to be supportive. One of the things that I would say we also look at is Duke Energy's got a foundation where we'll provide grants. So as people write programs or do nonprofits to try to support this kind of stuff, they can request grants, and typically anything to supporting workforce, women in the industry, supporting like we kind of focus on where are the areas that benefit not just Duke, but the communities we serve.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you guys were the first one to really say, "Hey, we're in. Let's do this. Let's go." As you know, Greg Gagel is highly recognized as an activist in that area in a good way. So we've talked about mental wellness, we've talked about total wellness, we've talked about outreach to women in construction. What else? What other new initiatives that you feel might be important to mention when it comes to the new approach in construction engineering for Duke Energy? You have been a leader in those areas I mentioned. Are there others?
So we've got a really strong focus right now on AI. Where are places that we can utilize new types of AI to make us more efficient, to let the higher skilled workers work on the higher skilled task. You've got some things that are really not, I would say, not technical, but it takes an experienced person to know what they're looking at, to gauge it and know if it needs repairing.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
get AI to do that, that frees up that more experienced person to actually do the tasks that require the experience. So there's stuff and changes coming out almost weekly. And so it's trying to figure out which ones are worth giving a try and that will benefit us, because anything I can do to get us more efficient is going to benefit everyone, because I'm not there yet, but I see it coming. We've still been able to fill positions as we post them. It's getting harder and harder. We're trying to stay in front of it. I look at AI will be a means to help, and when I get behind, to help me continuing on without impacting all my projects.
That was so true. And the new entrants to the business, Andy, also are looking for those companies that are cutting edge, maybe want to improve efficiency, want to embrace instead of resist technology. And I think that's a mindset of a younger worker, younger thinking, maybe under 30 or so. They're looking for those kinds of organizations. And for you folks to come out and say, we're going to embrace it, we're not resisting it, and we're looking for the highest and best use for it in our projects, that is true leadership there as well. Another question I have regarding technology: what other technological changes? You say we're embracing AI. Have there been changes in equipment, and what have been some of the more fascinating equipment changes that you've seen and utilized?
You look at some of the advanced class gas turbines. Say 5 years ago, if I would build a 2-on-1 combined cycle, it might be somewhere around 800 megawatts. The 2-on-1 combined cycles building today are just under 1,400 megawatts, almost double the size. And I think they might even get bigger. We'll just have to wait and see.
Believable.
Because I was
Wow.
like, what was I looking at? Some of the advanced class turbines, the size of them are just astronomical when you look and compare them to some of the older models. Saw a trailer that was designed so we can bring some equipment to one of our projects, over 300 foot long
The football field.
and over 600 wheels.
That is a contraption. I mean, you and I coming out of college 100 years ago, we would have been it wouldn't even have entered our mind that something like that could be done, manufactured, much less moved around.
Oh yeah. So I think some of that technology is going to be neat to go in. But like right now, if you went to, I would say if you went to one of the big three, the Siemens, the GE, and the Mitsubishi, and say, hey, I want one of your advanced class turbines, you're going to be many years out before they say, okay, I can fit you in and you'll get it on this date.
Is that interesting? So talk to us about supply chain. Post-COVID, there were some supply chain challenges, and certainly during that crisis, of course, using COVID as an excuse, in my opinion, has an expiration date, and I think we've quite passed it rather. But talk to us about how you manage the supply chain for all of this activity. How do you assure that the project's not being delayed because of flaws and supply chain issues?
So I'll give kudos to our supply chain group.
Okay, there you go.
In front of trends and information. So like typically as the owner, we'll buy long lead equipment. Well, that list of long lead equipment keeps creeping up because some things are continuing to get longer and longer to get because they're filling up. The growth that Duke's going through, every power company's going through. So you're competing for the slots for the turbines, for switch gear, for valves, for pipe, for transformers. It's everybody's looking at it. And so you've got some vendors that see it coming and they get in front of it and try to get their supply beefed up so they can take care of the increased demand. Our supply chain did something similar with some of the stuff that we are responsible and we think we need to buy because we need it early enough so it shows up so the contractor has it when he needs it. We'll purchase it before the contractor is identified. And so a supply chain will look and we'll try to figure out how many do we need? Can we go work out some kind of deal for X of them? or for so many every year type of thing. So thinking outside the box, what kind of constructs can we put together that help us ensure we're going to get it when we need it and save our customers some money?
Yep, that's I've heard that before, of course. As we begin to wind down here in just a few minutes, you are in a leadership position at SCORE, obviously at CURT, and even in your industry sector. From your perspective, where does the industry still find friction between owner-contractor relations? What, if you were king for the day in our industry, what would you like to see happen vis-a-vis owner-contractor relationships?
Have truly open dialogue and discussion around risk. Typically, we want to be risk averse and put 100% of it on the contractor. Well, we pay for that. I truly feel that if we sat down and talked about it from both sides, we would identify things. It's like, well, you're saying that risk to you is worth X dollars. We only thought it was Y dollars, which is much less. And then vice versa, and identify things that are better for the owner to own the risk and for the contractor on the risk to benefit both of you. Because as a contractor,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say as a contractor, you'll put anything that I ask for in the contract. I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
So is it truly needed?
What resources, in addition to your own expertise, your team expertise, your contractor willingness to collaborate, are there other resources that can be brought to bear to help make the optimal decision vis-a-vis risk?
I would say the help decision making is more of a internal thing. Making, it's almost we're not real quick at turning around decisions, and I think that's something we're currently working on as a corporation to try to see what we can do to drop the empowerment lower and get decisions quicker.
Is that something AI could begin to address, you think? Seems like it might have.
It'll have a place, but right now I think it's more of a culture issue that we're working to try to see what we can do to improve it.
Is there a question that you thought I would ask or a point that you would like to make that
New nuclear, where do we see it going?
Say more. Andy just threw a little carrot out there for your listeners, so you've got to stay with us another moment or two.
I would say it's going to happen, but when? And the question is more, is it going to be the SMRs you're hearing so much about, or do we pivot and the first units you see might be more AP1000s?
Which is, for our listeners who may not be.
So AP1000, that's the Westinghouse design that was just finished at the Southern Company's Vogel site.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, to be determined, I guess, huh?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We've been talking to Andy Browning, Vice President of Duke Energy, a leader in this industry, a leader certainly in the utility space and in the organizations that he spends time with. We're honored to have him. And Duke is a long-term participant in the Construction Users Roundtable. There's other groups. And Andy, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. It's been a real joy. It's like 55 minutes went by really, really quick, and that's now Mr. Balmer's job to edit this down into a reasonable length for a podcast. But thank you so much, Andy Browning, my guest with Duke Energy. You've been listening to Construction Connections, powered by CURT.
Thanks, Greg.